The one thing that I'm really trying to emphasize as we grow is how do we give that good patient experience no matter what? So what do? We have mentorship with every therapist. We always come back to whatever decision you make, is it the best thing for the patient? Is it the best thing for you as the therapist? Because we want the therapist to have a good experience and the patient. And so everything we do keeps coming back to that. And I think when you have a good moral compass and you get good philosophy, in the end, I think they know our heart's in the right direction. I think the patients know our heart's in the right direction. And
Kyle Feldman, good afternoon.
yes, sir.
We're here at the AMPT conference. It is in November. You got up at very dark 30 this morning, drove from Reno to Lake Tahoe, which is an hour.
Sir.
And you jumped in the lake.
I did. I love traveling. I love exploring, and conferences are fun.
Because they're
in
great places.
Yeah. But I got to do something cool, and Tahoe is right here. Last time I was here in 2018, it was my first time presenting, and I was the nervous young AMP member, and I was like, I got to get this perfect. So
Square up.
Practicing. Exactly. This time I was like, I've done this before. I need to do something fun. So Tahoe, it was.
And you just did it. You wanted to be there for sunrise. Mm-hmm. And then you were like, I'm here. I'm going to jump in.
Absolutely.
And you didn't have a towel.
I did not.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, the pants were fine. I got dry, but the boxers weren't.
Yeah, and they're going to be soggy for that hour ride back, which is fun.
But the Uber worked out.
Good for you. Jumping in. Your background, National Director of PT for ReEnvision PT. You're owner of We Are Physiotherapy. I don't know if we've ever talked about that before. Did we? I don't think we talked about that last time. And the guy who swears has never worked a day in his life. I love how you look at that. You're presenting twice here at AMPT. Mm-hmm. We'll talk a little bit about each. So you taught or are teaching a session on spinal manipulation already?
Already did it. Just did it. Just finished up.
So that's for spinal manipulation in older adults.
Yep. So we call them the seasoned.
Seasoned? You don't like older adults?
Salt and pepper.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I've got it. Well, then I'm a little salt and peppery.
You know, it makes them feel still young and empowered. So salt and pepper.
All right. So spinal manipulation for seasoned adults. What do most clinicians get wrong when reasoning through that population? I feel like initially, for maybe many, would be like, too old, can't do it, going to break them, fragile.
That's the exact word.
Okay, good. That was my guess.
Is the word they do.
That's my guess.
And Ken Olson was talking about it. He was talking about the youngest and the oldest. There's a lot of research in the middle, but there's not a lot on pediatrics, not a lot on the elderly. And so we need to find out how to match those. So he talked yesterday, luckily, about pediatrics, so I talked today about the elderly. And it was great. Just really trying to show it's a clinical reasoning perspective. It's knowing there's precautions, but knowing if it's one precaution, maybe we can still do it. Mm-hmm. Understanding that maybe they have osteopenia. They're 65, they're still deadlifting in the gym, they're still running around. Why can't you provide a manipulation to keep them going in their work?
So when you're working with clinicians, as you do in your role, right, you're teaching and mentoring, when you're looking at that, how do you get them to unlearn what they feel emotionally about a population, their preconceived bias? Even when we know it's there, it's still there, unfortunately. That's what a bias is.
It's so hard. I think the first thing I try to do is look at the research and show that there isn't much there. And then say, how would you feel? Like understanding the perspective they're at, or ask the patient. Because it's about therapeutic alliance. We talked about that before, like the communication, that impact. If a patient's like, yeah, I still feel young, why don't we consider it? So I try to play devil's advocate, usually with what they're thinking and saying, and try to turn their mindset a little bit. But you can't convince someone. Once a therapist has a mindset, a patient's mindset, you can't force them another way. But if you can give them another perspective, maybe they'll advance.
It's like that movie Inception. It's like, I need to plant the seed. It needs to be, if it's not your idea, I don't like taking other people's idea. I want it to be my idea. Yep. You can sprinkle some potential idea seeds around, and then if it becomes my idea, I'm more apt to do or change my mind. Right. All right. Exactly. So you've emphasized reasoning, as you just mentioned, over recipes, right? Recipes are preset. How do you teach that mindset to newer therapists who maybe early in their career, myself included, are like, I want just tell me what step 1 through 15 are, where really it should be more of fluid, but fluid feels scary, especially if I'm new. So how do you sort of get more of the reasoning and less of the recipe?
It's hard. I think a lot of it is practice. You have to practice with your classmates. You have to practice in the clinic. You have to practice with friends and family. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And once you get comfortable, it's easy. Mm-hmm. It's just getting that little bit of confidence. And so some of it is seeing the research. Some of it is understanding that it's not as scary. Like you listened to Kerry yesterday, and he was like, why are we still doing these certain tests? We don't need to. It's pointless. It's absurd. You need to make them understand that it's absurd. And how do you show them that their mindset is just so old school that they need to be thinking a little differently?
I'm guessing this isn't a one-time thing, right? If you're going to change behavior, it's not a just do this. If it was that easy, we wouldn't need educators, right? You just hand someone a book and say, learn this. So I imagine it's over time, it's microdosed, to use a term that doesn't get thrown around very much.
Yeah, I think perspective too. Like I used an example about dosing. I used it for exercise. So you change your dosing of exercise. You change your dosing of manual therapy. So if you can get that mindset of carrying it over to another topic, sometimes that works. I know when I was in PT school, when I connected neuro to pediatrics and pediatrics to ortho and ortho to anatomy, it made it all make sense. So if I can somehow connect those dots for them, sometimes they start to see it in a different light or a different vantage point.
Yeah, part of a bigger picture. Yeah. So you built both the clinical and educational business out of your fellowship foundation. What's the first mindset shift clinicians need to make to follow a path similar to yours?
Yeah, so the talk tomorrow, I'm working with one of the Brooks fellows, and he wanted to have, what do you do after you graduate?
Yeah.
And so he has some researchers, he has some clinicians, and so the path I went down the leadership on a business. So I work with some partners. It's a fantastic experience of growing clinics, and I've loved that. But I ultimately love teaching, something I've always enjoyed. And so I created another company, We Are Physiotherapy, where I do education and mentorship for therapists, and trying to make the perspective of less forcing it and more how do we be more less regimented, less segmented of move this joint, move this, or think this way, but let's just be free. Let the patient help decide. Let us go down the path of.
What's that look like if someone's going through the program? If they're a constituent of We Are Physiotherapy, is this a cohort? Is this online, asynchronous, synchronous?
Multiple things. So I have some kind of courses. So one of them is a spinal manipulation course, but not just techniques. I come to these classes and I love it. But what's the thing I love the most? Not learning a ton of techniques. It's how. So it talks about the before, during, and after. What do you do before? How do you set it up? How do you do it? And then how do you follow it up? And applying it to the practice. Another one on exercise dosing, exercise prescription. And not just cool exercises do you have, but how are you going to do them? How are you going to change them and get that results and that plan of care success that you're looking for?
Yeah, and so ballpark this for me, like size. How many people have gone through this?
So it's Con Ed courses right now. So the Con Ed courses, I did about 8 in 2025.
Yeah.
And so each year I've kind of gotten a little more, mainly in the Virginia area. I'm hoping to expand. But I've also mentored some fellows in training, some residents, and then some people who are just like, hey, I want to develop my reasoning, but I don't want to go through that rigorous of a program.
So it's like a fellowship light. Yeah, it's a good experience. Where can someone go to find out more?
So I have a couple social media. So I have Facebook, I have Instagram, and then I have a website.
Which is?
WeArePhysiotherapy.com.
Perfect. There you go. Good setup. Way to close it. You talk a lot about Therapeutic Alliance. You just talked about that a second ago. How does that translate to better outcomes and better business?
People buy products. People buy success. And you can be the best clinician in the world. You can be the best marketer in the world. But in reality, it's how you care. And do you care about that person?
Yeah.
And Therapeutic Alliance is all about, do you really care? Are you really listening to them? And do you really want to get them better? So I think if we can get that mindset, it all falls into place.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying don't sell units, don't sell visits, don't sell a plan of care, sell the outcome, or sell where they get to be as they should be, the hero of their own story, where you get to be Yoda and less of the superstar. And when I've seen people who are successful, typically that's a common thread of what it looks like.
And I think the coolest part is you could be a really good manual therapist and still do that. The mindset shift had come in physical therapy where it's like, okay, for me to allow them to be empowered, I need to be hands-off. I don't think that's the case. I think you can still add in hands-on therapy because you've built alliance where, like, let's say they say, wow, I really want to get moving, I really want to do this, but I don't quite have that range of motion. Doing manual therapy can achieve that range of motion to then do that. So it still can be a big piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
It's just being, how do you add it? And you're not saying, I'm changing your joint. I'm maybe giving a tissue opportunity to feel a little bit better to then succeed in the exercise that we're trying to provide.
Yeah, again, more of a guide, less of the hero, make them the hero. I'm all in. We've talked about that before.
Yes,
I like it. So let's talk about another role, National Director at ReEnvision PT. How are you helping teams scale high-quality reasoning across multiple locations? This is simple, but not easy.
No. Started in 2019, me, myself, and a foldable table in Winchester, Virginia.
Seriously?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So my partners are fantastic. So we have people that are business experience. We have medical services besides physical therapy, which is really cool.
What else?
So we do primary care. We have different other services. So we want to be kind of like that one-stop shop. with care. And so that's what we're trying to build as a big brand. But I run the physical therapy side. And so from that side, I've always thought about like my non-negotiables. Have you ever seen the movie The Bear or the show The Bear on
Yeah,
FX?
yeah.
So he talks about his non-negotiables. So I had non-negotiables. They are, I want to make sure that we have one-on-one care and that we emphasize the patient experience. So those are the two things. So with that, we kept growing. We're now at 25 clinics as of today.
Wow.
Yeah. So in a couple states.
Hold on a second. What year were you at a folding table?
2019.
I'm not a mathematician. That's 6 years ago. So you went from one table to 25 locations?
25 locations.
In 6 years.
So it's really cool. So what we're doing is we're going inside of gyms doing physical therapy, which has been really cool. But really we're trying, our saying is increasing access to quality care. So whatever that is. Right now, we just had a really cool opportunity where there was a pelvic floor or an OBGYN group, and they were like, hey, we want to add physical therapy. So we added that in there. And it's been a great experience because these people are comfortable with their OB. Now they can stay right in that area and feel comfortable with that physical therapy experience. So
wow. How many people? Like how many? What is the head count from?
I think
from
right now 37 therapists.
Wow, from 0 to 37. Which
Really cool.
I think we get jaded a lot with numbers. I think the internet has done that to us with views and followers and things like that. If we're not talking in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of something, but 37 people working in an organization in 6 years, that is not small. That's fast.
It's been fast. I don't even really talk about it a lot on social media. I don't want to because I feel like we still have a lot of ways to grow. But the one thing that I'm really trying to emphasize as we grow is how do we give that good patient experience no matter what? So what do? We have mentorship with every therapist. We always come back to whatever decision you make, is it the best thing for the patient? Is it the best thing for you as the therapist? Because we want the therapist to have a good experience and the patient. And so everything we do keeps coming back to that. And I think when you have a good moral compass and you get good philosophy, it can make the growth. It can be rough. There's rough patches for sure. But in the end, I think they know our heart's in the right direction. I think the patients know our heart's in the right direction. And I'm hoping leading success.
Well, it feels like it goes back to having non-negotiables and making sure you understand what those are and not having 63 non-negotiables, right? I mean, I started this podcast by accident in PT school 10 years ago, and someone was like, they didn't ask non-negotiables, but it was the same idea, which is like, why do you do this? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's fun. And like, so is that, in my brain, I'm like, well, that must have been a non-negotiable. And like, well, like, what does the audience get out of it? I'm like, they learn stuff. So I was like, okay, well, every time I hit record, the goal should be have fun, learn stuff. And it doesn't need to be 53 things. It needs to be one. Could be 53 things. And it needs to be fun. And there's a difference between fun and funny. This doesn't mean nonstop jokes, but it shouldn't be dry because I get bored. And if I get bored, you can tell. If I get bored, the guest is bored. So getting smart people to talk about what they're smart about is easy. Like, again, I ask a question, a smart person answers it, I look smart because I'm standing next to you. It's a pretty good formula.
I'm trying to be like you. That's my goal.
Well, you just went from 0 to 37. Let's get you a podcast. We'll get you all set up on YouTube. Where can people go to find more about the clinic?
So,
ReEnvision?
ReEnvisionPT.com. We have some social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. I think the big thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to grow. We do want to be bigger, but we never want to lose the moral compass, the thought process, and we also don't want to be the big chain that forgets that small care.
Well, there's a tipping point. We've talked about this a ton. The term PT mill gets thrown around a lot, and I push back where I just go, what makes a PT mill a PT mill? And people will just go, you just know it when you see it. I was like, that's not fair. You can't just say because they're, anything more than 100 clinics. And I was like, well, that's not fair either. Size doesn't equate quality or lack of quality. So it is a moral compass, which is what are my non-negotiables? It needs to have these things.
2 months ago, I did a presentation on what is a PT mill to our clinicians.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
okay. So what is it?
I don't know. It's my own quantification
Right,
of it.
right.
So I think to me, it's when you leave your moral compass, and it's when decision making becomes more about the bottom line than it does about the patient experience. And so what I did day one when we started this business, I created a pro forma. It was my partner, who's a great businessman, a great mentor of mine. He was like, if you can make the numbers work, we can do it however you want. The numbers have to work.
Sure.
So what I learned is I figured out how to do that, how we can do one-on-one care with insurance-based. There's things you have to cut out in order to do that well. So as long as you always stay with your main principles and you understand why you're cutting certain things out, and then you don't keep cutting things out to make the bottom line.
Bottom line work, right.
I think you stay out of that mill category.
Okay. If you could go back to your first year post-fellowship, what do you wish someone would have told you about growth, ownership, or burnout? Any of those things?
I think when you never work a day in your life, you don't burn out. So knock on wood, I feel like I haven't burnt out yet. I love what I do. I do get tired, but I really don't burn out. So that's for me. I don't ever work a day in my life. As far as the business side, I think if I had known that the medical world is really bad at business, I would say that is overarching. There's people who are really good at it, but as a general whole, we come to school, we learn to be good providers. We don't learn business.
Right.
If we had figured out how to do that better, and if I had taken, I think, some extra courses, it would have helped me. I think doing it is the best example.
Sure, failures and mistakes are great teachers.
But I think there's the mentorship component. I learned a ton in fellowship to be a therapist. I think doing a mentorship program for a business, I think would be a great thing that the APTA does and what we as physical therapists can do.
Perfect. All right, every episode we do a parting shot. What's your last idea, mic drop moment, soapbox statement? What do you want to leave with the audience as we wrap up here?
Find what you love. Never work a day in your life. And if you do that, it all works out.
Yeah. Kyle, love hearing that you're jumping in Lake Tahoe. Thanks for coming out here to AMPT, man.
Hey, thanks for going from where you started this thing in a small scale as a student at the same time as me to what you've done.
Who knew?
I'm in awe, so thank you.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for listening to Hands On, Hands Off, the official podcast of AMPT. Subscribe now so you never miss an episode, and connect with us at ampt.org or at AMPT on social. Opinions are those of the guests and not official AMPT policy. See you next time.